Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama arrived in Downing Street just over an hour ago for talks with Rishi Sunak. It's believed that illegal migration and organised crime will be at the top of the agenda, but Rama massively stoked the fires this morning. He slammed Suella Braverman, our Home Secretary, said that the comments that she's made are disgraceful. She said, just for a bit of context, that essentially some Albanian criminals are trying to come to this country via the Channel. Rama has today hit back. He said that it was very, very disgraceful moment in British politics and adding an ethnic seal and that a few rotten apples did not define a nation. However, figures showed that at least 13,000 Albanians entered Britain on small boats last year alone, which was just under a third of all arrivals. And it comes, as reports predict, that as a result of the government's new illegal migration bill, 150,000 people will be denied asylum over the next 3 years. But, as it stands, we can't deport them. So that means it's going to cost us, you, me, everyone we know, £9 billion over a 3-year period. Unless, of course, we can indeed deport people. To look ahead to a news conference with the Albanian Prime Minister, due to start in a matter of moments, is the Director at the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity. It's Stephen Woolfe. Stephen, thank you very much. Is it just a few rotten apples, or actually are there quite a lot of Albanian criminals here?
Well, it does appear to be more than just a few rotten apples, because we know from our own security services and the police that they recognise that a large number of those coming across the Channel have been either absconding from arrivals, absconding from the detention centres or the hotels, and they're moving into criminal activity. They have stated that in terms of cocaine, now the Albanians are the biggest organisation of criminality in that area, that they've taken over from the Vietnamese the control of the marijuana market, that in terms of the sex crimes and prostitution, they are now one of the leading organisations. And in terms of high-end cars being removed from this country, the Albanian gangs are very firmly in that as well. So it can't be said to be just a few rotten apples. I always think of that as maybe 4 or 5 sitting in your bowl. But when you're talking 12,000 people and thousands being involved in crime, then I think Edi Rama has to really reflect on why are they leaving his country? Why has he not said, what are they fleeing from?
Yeah, and this is a massively important issue, and hopefully when we hear from him, he might address this, because I don't see how he squares this idea of saying Albania is a safe country and then also, presumably not acknowledging the fact that people are economic migrants coming across the Channel, plenty of whom one would imagine are trying to get involved in some kind of criminal activity. But he's trying to have it both ways, isn't he? I don't quite understand where he stands on this. Why does he say that people are fleeing Albania?
Well, he doesn't. He does say, and we all agree, that there is an Albanian community here that's been here for a long time and that's been added to, and they add and contribute to the country. And I would have thought that they too would feel pretty annoyed, if not ashamed, of those who are involved in the criminal activities from their countries, really destroying their reputation. And I think Edi Rama should be really supporting those people who've generally come here with proper reasons, applied to come here properly, supporting the economy and working as we do, and get behind people like Suella Braverman, who is making a clear distinction. She's making a clear distinction that she's talking about those criminals who are involved in economic and illegal migration coming across the Channel, not those who are legally here working really hard.
Just quickly and finally, Stephen, call me a cynic here, but perhaps Edi Rama is quite happy to see the backs of these people.
Well, we always look at that case of in Cuba during the 1980s when Fidel Castro freed a whole load of criminals over to the United States and fueled the mass criminality that came out in some great movies that we saw at that particular time. I don't think that he's really in that level, but at the end of the day, he is just not recognising or accepting that this is mass criminality. And maybe today, after this conference with Rishi Sunak, he will come out and say what we want him to, that they will really deal with illegal migrants, the criminal elements, and support our policies to push them back to his country. And maybe he can then arrest them and put them in prison if they are involved in crime.
Look, absolutely, and we do await to hear from him live on this very show. Stephen, thank you very much. Stephen Woolfe, Director of the Centre for Migration and Economic Prosperity.